Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the annual meeting of the Pelican Marsh Foundation. We'll begin with the roll call by Mr. Paul Madden.
Okay, we have President Jim Carter, Matt Barger, Jerry Carbone, Daniel Monks, Ray Gilbot, Ken Evans, and Karen Jordan. Everybody's here for a full quorum.
Thank you. Would you all please stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a bad shape.
Thank you. Paul, will you call for the last call for proxies?
Any other return proxies? Everybody's good? Okay, with that being said, we have received 767 proxies, which certifies the needed quorum for the meeting to proceed.
Good enough. Thank you. We have the quorum. I request a motion to waive the reading of the minutes from the 2020 annual meeting.
I so move.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. Thank you. This gives me an opportunity to kind of do a year in review. I recognize it's a lot different than it was a year ago. When we had the annual meeting last year, we had the board candidates, the board of directors, and we had our general manager, and we had 2 observers. That's all that was in the room. We were in total lockdown. The meeting was videotaped, and today we are open. We are a free state of Florida. We're the envy of the nation. And I would say that as we sit here tonight, we had hoped that this would be an opportunity to show everybody our modern technology in action. We have Apple monitors. We were going to zoom into your house tonight, and we were going to do all those great things. But unfortunately, Comcast had a different idea about this. And as far as I know, they're still trying to figure out whatever happened to them. So we are right back to where we were before we had Zoom, before we had lockdown. We're videotaping the meeting, and I thank all of you who took the opportunity to join us this evening. It has been a challenging year, to say the least. When we started last year, after the annual meeting, we really weren't too sure where we were going to go and how we were going to do it. But by May, we had a phased reopening in progress, which included the fitness center and the court sports. We started to gradually come back to where we could conduct activities here at Pelican Marsh and at the community center. The creativity of the staff enabled us to continue our expansion of activities throughout the year. Tennis and pickleball allows maximum play today. The bocce players are all back in action. The fitness center programs are using both inside and outside. And if you play tennis early in the morning, you will hear out here on the spin bikes. And everything's going, and it's pretty neat to be a part of. The fitness center hours have been expanded to the use of a key fob. And so now you can work out as late as 10 o'clock at night or as early as 6 a.m. in the morning. While our social programs have been curtailed, Lynn has done really a magnificent job of first doing things online and then by able to bring in some outside activities. And she will continue to do that as we move forward throughout the rest of the season. Our staff had the greatest attitude of any group that I've ever worked with. They never had a defeat us attitude. Their statements always were, what can we do and how soon can we do it? So we took this opportunity to be as creative as we possibly could and to do a lot of things that people said we probably could never do, and we did it. And so today we operate as best as as we can under the conditions. And I can't thank the staff enough for the outstanding job they've done under the leadership of our manager, Paul Madry. Your board never stopped meeting. We had our first meeting on Zoom. And from Zoom, we went to a hybrid where you could either attend a board meeting by Zoom or you could come here in person. Until tonight, you see all board members are present. We'll never forget the challenges that we faced last year, and that as we begin to come out of this year, we begin to see a lot of good things happening. We do follow the governor's guidelines and the CDC guidelines, and while some of us would like us to open up and have more social programs, we have taken a very conservative course of action. It has served us well. We only had one staff member that had a mild case of the COVID problem. We had a couple of residents that when that happened, we notified everybody that was in contact with them. And I do know that we had a number of residents that did contact COVID-19, and we did lose some of our friends and neighbors. But overall, I think this community has done very, very well through this crisis. The new board, I know, will continue to review our practices and to determine when is it safe to expand the operate to extending and having more social operations within the center. There's some really good news that's taking place in all of this vaccine process. Pelican Marsh Foundation has been given another 350 COVID-19 vaccines that we administered March 31st at the North Collier Regional Park. The registration link to sign up has been emailed to all of our homeowners, and if you need help or have any problems, please contact Paul Madry. He will assist you in that endeavor. We know that we will continue to get more vaccines, and more organizations will make it possible for you to get the shots. The age limit is dropping, and I hear it may get down to, and soon people 50 and older will be eligible for the shots. Herd immunity will continue to grow, and my message would be this: don't be afraid, live your life, but take really common sense precautions. The social distancing has been reduced to 3 feet. Mask wearing is optional outside. Inside, well, when we're trying to talk to you, we have found it's not a very good idea for us to talk through our masks. But we will continue to follow those safe practices as we go along. The organization that probably impacts Pelican Marsh the most is the Community Development District. And over this last year, 2020, they embarked on a 3 to 5 year program for the median beautification of Pelican Marsh Boulevard, repairing of all the sidewalks in major areas of the community. And the first phase of that has already been done. As many of you see as you come in from the airport and drive to the community center, you see all the improvements that have taken place. They will continue that process throughout the rest of the year, and I believe they hope to have it completed by the end of 2021. In addition to that, they're redesigning the front entrances and gatehouses, and as my understanding, Paul, I think at their last meeting, they are ready to put out the RFP for the constructions of those new gatehouses. So I think in 2021 and perhaps into 2022, you'll see all of those changes, all for the improvement and the benefit of Pelican Marsh. They have improved access control and the training of the personnel, and I want to thank Ed Walsh, their chairman, and their supervisors for the continued cooperation between our organizations, and we look forward to working with them as we move forward to improve all that we can for Pelican Marsh. They meet the third Wednesday of every month in this room at 9 o'clock. I encourage you to attend, and you'll find that you'll learn a lot by what they're doing and how they're progressing for the betterment of this community. Extremely to Pelican Marsh, because most of you probably don't pay a lot of attention to it, In 2021, the Department of Transportation for Collier County will let a contract for the re-engineering and design of Airport Pulling Road between Vanderbilt and Immokalee. That will all be 6-laned, and construction will probably start on that in 2022. So it won't be too long until you see that become a 6-lane thoroughfare. I want to take this opportunity again to thank Paul and his staff for all their guidance this year, and to the board of directors for all your support and all the efforts that you put into every program that we've been doing, and to you, the residents, for your patience and for your understanding as we've done everything we can do to continue to make Pelican Marsh one of the best communities in Naples to live. Thank you very much. Okay, Paul, we now move to the introduction of my fellow board members. Again, my name is Jim Carter. I've had the pleasure of serving as the president of the foundation for the past year. I'd like each member to introduce themselves. They can tell you their name, position they hold, and anything else they want to say, as long as they keep it under 60 minutes, 60 seconds. I was going to say 60 minutes. 60 minutes. We'll be here a long time. So I will start to my left, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel Monks, Vice President. And really, there's the only thing I wanted to take a moment to say is that my hat is off to Paul. A year ago, Paul thought the word Zoom was an adverb, and he had to learn how to become an expert in Zoom, and bought a membership with Zoom, and had to plow into the procedures and become an expert, which was not easy, because there's constant, when you're trying to put together these meetings from multiple computers and get them on the screen, every time a problem happened, everybody said, Paul, and everything came to a halt till Paul figured it out. My hat is off to Paul for what he did this year with all the zigging and zagging because of COVID, but especially being able to keep everything online and keep the communication with the community that could not come into this room live as though they were with what he did with Zoom. So thank you very much for everything you did this year, Paul.
Yeah, I'm so bummed because I had the system now. I think all the kinks worked out. I was ready to display it on full display tonight for the annual meeting, and wouldn't you know it? Hopefully for the next meeting we'll be ready.
You're up, Jerry.
Yeah, okay, well, I think I've been on every board since this foundation was turned over to the community, except for 2 years. Without a doubt, this is probably the strongest board that we've ever had as far as getting work done, protecting the community, and keeping things afloat under some very adverse conditions. I guess I gave enough time here that this is my final night, thank God. You really don't understand unless you've been involved in other boards like I have over the course of my career. It's very difficult to find people that are willing to give their time, effort, and expertise for the benefit of the community. You can see what happens is that the participation from the community is always at a low level unless they got something to complain about. But this board here, especially, has been, in my estimation, the strongest board that's ever been here. I think you're going to find that the ensuing boards will have to, meet the line, as they say. I want to thank everybody for the time, because as opposed to some thoughts, everybody thought I had nothing else to do, but this position for me was a substitute, because I finally got to live in a place that I was working on. I built thousands of homes. I never lived in one of the developments. So when I came on board here, and Westinghouse gave me an opportunity to come on the board, I decided that I was going to do my best because I was going to live here. And I basically have been here since the place opened in '95. So I want to thank everybody. It's been a good ride. And I'll be around, but don't call me.
I'm Matt Barger. I'm a board member and also the liaison to the Food and Beverage Subcommittee. And we've got some exciting things coming for the community center and the community in general, and looking forward to sharing it all with you as soon as we get the final vote on April 8th. So if you have not gotten a food and beverage proxy, please see Linda very quickly. The vote is April 8th, and we want to get as many people signed up as we possibly can to potentially move this project forward. So I thank you all in advance.
My name is Ray Zobat. I was approached back in the summer of 2017 by 3 board members, each independently, Jim Carter, Dave Redron, and Jeff Randall. And each of them approached me and said, we're having a couple of vacancies on the board. Would you like to consider serving? I took 24 hours to talk it over with my wife. As a president and treasurer of my association, Timuron, and manager of Ventura and Ariel for a good number of years, I was very familiar with all the managers and a lot of the presidents here. And I came back and said, sure, nothing going on, I'd be glad to. I was appointed in August of 2017, and whoa, did we get hit. September of 2017, we had Irma, followed that 2 general manager resignations, and then after that we had Comcast. We started considering Comcast fiber optics, and then we had an election come up, and I thank everyone who voted for me. I was elected to serve in 2018. I complete my term tonight, as Jerry is, and it's been a real pleasure. I've been honored by all those who voted for me and being on the board. But after being on the board, the fun didn't stop. After Comcast fiber optics, we working on the community center upgrade, a big project. And then my 15 years as a community association manager. I don't think I ever encountered the experience I did during the pickleball discussions. And as you can see, that turned out very well. I'm glad we went ahead and the board voted for that. And now this last year we've had the pandemic, COVID-19. So it's been a trying and difficult year for this board. I think they've stood up to the test and have done a magnificent job. I always think of 2 things while serving on this board or anytime I serve a community or people. Those are 2 mottos. One from the Marine Corps, always faithful. As a board member, my responsibility was always to be faithful to the members, those who voted for me. And I don't care if it was 10 of you or the full 134, 3,500 members we have in this community. Always faithful to what you need, what you want, and your best interest. The other motto is, if you're a Marine, hold your ears. But the Army had a great one. It's called We Are One. And when I consider Pelican Marsh, regardless of age, wealth, lifestyle, whatever, we are all one together. The board represents all of you. And they put their bias aside and work to do what is best for you. And I'm sure, in fact I know, the board members remaining and the new ones coming on board will continue that philosophy going forward. So again, thank you all for the 3.5 years I have had to serve with you.
Thanks, Ray. Ken?
Ray left out one important point. That is that those 3 guys that approached me, but they lied to us. They told us they just needed a little 6-month fix until the new board came up, and you can see where we got ourselves. So Ray and I turned out to be the 3.5-year retirees. And it was a very interesting 3.5 years. One thing I want to do is I want to say to Steve, Margie, and Pat, welcome and thank you so very much. There are never enough people
that we need to serve on boards than we get, and to serve on committees than we get. And so I thank you all. I thank all of my board members. It certainly has been an interesting 3.5 years. As Ray mentioned, just about everything that we thought we could do, we did. And Matt and I are optimistic that the last thing we thought we could get done, we're going to get done, and that is to put in a great food and beverage program. Many of the people that are not particularly active in this community towards the foundation are saying, we think there's something coming up that we're really going to get to use, and that is the pavilion. I call it the pavilion. I don't know what the board's going to call it, but so I look forward to seeing everybody on, if not sooner, on the 2nd or 3rd of January at the big opening, and raise a glass of wine and say congratulations to Bob and Mark, who are some of the two key people that have put this program through. And again, I thank all of you for the time. I welcome the 3 of you on the board, and I wish you a whole bunch of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Karen?
Hi, everybody, just a few people. Karen Gilmartin, Sheriff Secretary. This has been a challenging year, I think, as everyone has pointed out, and I would like to underscore all the work that Paul and the staff has done, because it was just flying by the seat of their pants and our pants in terms of making things work here, and I think we did a good job, the best we could under the circumstances. And I look forward to a very exciting year ahead. I too am very pleased that and hopeful that we will go ahead with food and beverage and all the work that committees have done here. I think it's going to bring the community together more, which is, I think, one of the goals I always have, is to be inclusive and have participation from everyone. And not everyone does it. I mean, there are a few people who stand up, but I think we can maybe even have more who come on board and really see what a great community we have. And that's it. Okay. Thanks. And welcome. Let me not say that. Welcome to the new board members. I agree.
Okay, thank you very much. It's my pleasure at this time to recognize the 3 departing board members. They have been terrific contributors to this board, and many of you have heard some of the things and situations at which they came to the board. Ray Zobat, who's been our secretary of the board for 3 years, Ray has a tremendous amount of experience in association management. He brought that to the board. He brought his kind of calm, cool demeanor to the board when sometimes we all get a little exercised about certain topic areas. Ray was always the calm, cool guy that helped us, think through where you are, where do you want to go, and how do you guys want to do that. You've been a great assistant, Ray, and I will miss you. I know I got 1 more year in this process, but I think it was a great decision the day we came and asked you to serve, and then you accepted. So thank you very much for that. And as a little token of appreciation, Paul is going to hand you a gift certificate that I hope that you and your wife can enjoy. It probably figures out to about $0.25 an hour for your work here. But do enjoy, and thank you for your service. Ken Evans joined the board at the same time, and Ken brought to this board a great perspective on financial management. He, as a business entrepreneur himself, and all of his experience that he accumulated over the years he brought to this board. He really took a hard, and he came in under difficult circumstances. And he took a look at things, and he has functioned as our treasurer, and he's functioned as a vice president, and he really made enormous contributions to helping us really think through how we really financially manage this foundation. And he created the finance committee, first time we've ever had that. He worked hard with Paul Madry, our manager, and with our bookkeeper. And we have a bookkeeper, and people say, it's a bookkeeper. Hey, we have a CPA that's a bookkeeper. Let me tell you, we are so blessed to have such talent. And Ken, you worked with that talent, and you made it a much better place for us to operate and to live. And I want to thank you for your service and wish you and Pat the very, very best. And hope you do take that trip to New Zealand and really enjoy some other parts of the world. So thank you very, very much for your service.
Thank you for those fine comments, but would you call the CDC and let them open up the cruise lines, please?
Well, I won't comment on the CDC. I think they're probably a historical organization that needs a total overhaul.
That's right.
Now, for the last gentleman that is going to officially leave the board, there's an old statement, they say, the guy's been around so long he came with the building. In this case, folks, I gotta tell you, it's true. Jerry came with the building, he built the building. So, Jerry, it has been an enormous pleasure to work with you. Ever since I've been in Pelican Marsh, I had the opportunity to work with you. First go around on the board, we accomplished paying off this community center. Jerry was the guy that came up with a formula that says with future resale funds, it's got to go to capital, it's got to go to reserves, or it's got to go to operating. We just don't take that money and just let it melt away somewhere. So you've been a huge contributor to the board of directors over all the years that he served. But Jerry's a huge contributor to his community, not only where he lives, but external in this community. There are young immigrant children who have daycare and who get fed because of Jerry Carbone's enormous amount of work with kids in Immokalee. So he's not only served us well in this foundation, he has served his community externally. And Jerry, you're a guy that is, no question, the historian for Pelican Marsh. We will miss you as a director, but I know that you are not going away. You're going to be here, you will continue to serve, and I thank you very much for your service to this board, and most of all, for being a great friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
And again, we're giving to Ken and to Jerry a little appreciation of the service to our community.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is not McDonald's, is it?
That's Burger
Okay.
It's just round smart.
Mr. Radico, not too far away. You get inside, you don't have to wear a mask, you're okay. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce a couple of committee chairs who are going to address you. These are two of many committee chairs we have. And I would say this, all the committees throughout this whole last year, they met and they worked and they did a great job. And so, whereas this COVID-19 thing really had us all on edge, we have worked through it. Our community, I think, is emerging stronger, and a lot of that has to do with the chairs of the committees that have served us so well. So the president of the President's Council, Sandy Mintz, is here. Sandy, I'd like you to say a few words about the council and some of the things you're doing and where we're going.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Jim. Can you hear me? And all those over 1,900 doors out there, imaginary, I love it. I'm Sandy Mintz, and I live in Troon. And several years ago, they asked me to get the President's Committee organized and up and running. and I've been chair of that committee for the last 4 or 5 years. It's really been active the last 3 years. I'm going to read you the mission statement of what our president's committee is, and it really boils down to what we're trying to do is share best practices in our communities in terms of serving dollars, saving dollars, or using contractors, or problems that come up, whether it be parking or a neighbor with a barking dog, and being that the boards, the associations, the community associations, of which are 23, changed so much, there's some consistency with myself, and I also want to recognize Blake Boswell, who again is also a historian for our communities. The mission of our committee is to create and maintain a conduit for communication between the foundation board and the neighborhood associations by providing a forum for the presidents of the respective associations to examine issues and practices relating to the operation and administration of their respective associations, to share information, to make recommendations to the board for the benefit of the residents of Pelican Marsh. So we are a committee of 23 presidents, and it's unfortunate we're not on Zoom tonight, and I would reach out to all those different associations that the president should participate. Of the 23, probably about 10 or 12 do, and we really are able to share a lot of information. We meet every Monday after the board meeting, which is on Thursday. So we all get together, and typically we meet in here, and we discuss things like Christmas tree lights, bicycle path problems, neighbors that are parking on the grass, and we try to share all that information. And then sometimes we come up with a pretty good recommendation, and we take it back to the board. It's been a pleasure working with the board. Jim, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I too want to welcome the 3 new board members. I hope I can continue and serve them as a conduit to get information out and back to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shane.
Great job. Sandy has done a fantastic job with the president's group. I have the pleasure of being the liaison to that group, along with Nathaniel. And we've always found they're very highly participating groups that are keenly interested in the welfare of this community. And I can't thank you enough, Sandy, for your leadership. Now, I understand there is another committee chairman here. The committee chairman of the bocce committee is here. He is there, a bocce player. Okay, he's going to come and tell us a little bit about the courts that are right out here behind you. And I know you have a very active group of people.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Hi, my name is Dino Lauricell. I'm the president of the Bocce Committee. And I want to tell you that the bocce is well and alive right now, despite what we had to go through with, now everyone's had to go through this pandemic. We had to cancel our playoffs last year, and we didn't know where we were going as far as the fall goes. But with great guidance from the foundation, the Bocce Ball Committee met, and we put together a guideline that would allow safety and health of the people who would participate first and foremost, but give an opportunity for those who do want to have a venue to get out and play. And we were able to do that. And what we did is we established 2 time frames, 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock sessions, and we kept a 30-minute window between them, so this way you give an opportunity to clear out. There would never be any people, gathering. Players were instructed to sanitize the balls before and after, use social distancing, and so forth. Play was reduced to 2 players per team at a time. So what would happen is you never have more than 8 people out there. So what we did is we used court 1 and court 3 and left 2 open for added social distancing. Play continued, and it was a really good time for a lot of people. It was, of course, not as many as we had in the past. There were no spectators, a strict rule that We didn't want spectators gathering, so that there would be, we didn't want to bring problems to the bocce league as far as what's not doing social distancing and so forth. We had 20 teams consisting of 61 members that signed up for fall. And in the winter, we had 36 teams that consisted of 103 members that signed up for winter play. And they actually, our playoffs begin this Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And it was a lot lower than we were the year before. The year before we had 48 teams with over 250 participants. So it was less than half, but considering the situation that we were in, I thought we did really well. The activities department held several small tournaments and social bocce mixers. 6 new benches were added to the courts out front and some ball retrievers that were added also. And like we've done every year for the last 2 years that I've been on board, our registration fee that's collected by from each member, we donate that to local charities. Okay. Thank you again for the opportunity to let us play.
Well, thank you. I had no idea when these bocce courts were put in, the number of people that would play. I mean, there was sort of a stereotype that if you couldn't do anything else and you're old and decrepit, you went to play bocce. But that certainly isn't the case. I see all age groups out there playing, and it seems to be a very intense and serious game. And the way my tennis game is going, maybe that may be my next activity. But I think it's great. You've done a wonderful job, and thank you for getting this to really work for Pelican Marsh. Do we have any other committee chairman?
Yeah, but we certainly also want to recognize our other committees that do serve us well and are a big help to not only the board but the staff in helping us, run these facilities. The finance committee obviously helps me and the staff put together budgets and making sure we're meeting expectations of the members and spending their money wisely, getting most bang for your buck for your maintenance fees. The fitness committee helps out Patrick tremendously and maintaining the equipment and looking for the future upgrades as needed on the equipment. Obviously, we've got the pickleball and the tennis advisory committees, both they're very active and trying to do their best to manage the courts and making sure every homeowner has an enjoyable and fun experience out on the course. So I just want to make sure we also recognize those committees too tonight.
Okay, I know, what do we have, 16 committees, is that correct, Paul? Did I have that correct? Pretty close to that.
We have 10 committees total.
10 committees in total, representing a lot of different areas of interest for Pelican Marsh. They've all done a terrific job. And as far as, well, they're just innovative and creative. How else can I say it? They said, COVID-19, okay, we'll meet on Zoom. We'll figure out what to do. And they've done it. And I'm totally amazed and proud of this community for how we've handled this situation and how well we've been doing, and we'll continue to do well. And I think that we're going to get on the other side of this thing pretty soon. And I hope by next year, you'll have a room full of people. Comcast will figure out how to operate, and we'll have a different kind of meeting. At this time, I would like to, with Paul, we'd like to take a look at the long-range planning, make some comments about that. We'd also would like to recognize the Food and Beverage Committee and their work and bring you up to date on a number of things that they've done. So as far as the long-range planning, Paul, do you want to make a few comments about that, and then we can go to food?
One thing I didn't say is that part of the committees we have working for us, we have a long-range planning committee who did a lot of work this past few months and over the last fall to look at the goals Pelican Marsh should have for the future to make Pelican Marsh the best it can be for today's and future residents. So they've done a lot of hard work, and they came up with some great recommendations that they presented to the board for future consideration. And obviously, one of those recommendations to the board is now seriously considering, and we're going to push forward for a membership vote, is the possibility of adding food and beverage service to the community center. So we've done workshops to present this concept to the membership. We've got the PowerPoint on the website detailing the project, how it would work. And we've also detailed this proposed project in many board meetings in the past. And tonight, we've got the Food and Service Committee here to answer any questions any member may have on the project. Obviously, we've now sent out the proxies to all the membership for them to vote to get the needed approval to spend the needed funds that Pelican Marsh has to build this facility for the food and beverage project. And we've gotten many proxies back so far for their vote, but we still have a lot of members out there who still have not turned their proxy in, and we're encouraging every member to get up to the 7th of next month to turn their proxy in to vote, because everyone here as a member has a vested interest in Pelican Marsh's future. So it's important that you vote on this project. So we're open now to, be open to questions to the floor. If anybody has any questions on the project, we'd be more happy to answer those questions.
Bob, you might stand up and let the people in the room know who you are. Bob Gianni has been the chair of this project along with Mark Slanko. Mark is in the room tonight. Mark's not here. But Bob really has shepherded this project, and he came to the board late last summer with the concept plan of a food and beverage operation. And he said to this is what it would look like. He asked for us then to expend funds so that we could develop the renderings and get to go forward with the documents that would be necessary to construct the project, and also the guidelines on how you would develop a contract with the food operators. And as Paul said, we continue to meet and be updated on this. And I have to congratulate, this board has really worked hard, along with the committees, to make sure that we took a number to the unit owners that was real. We said $900,000 not to exceed, and that is a real number. Of course, we'd like to bring it in for under that if the unit owners approve it. But there's no ups and extras. And everybody needs to understand that. And the other thing is, remember, it's your money. I've had people say, oh, it won't cost anything. It won't cost me anything. I said, wait a minute. There's no free lunch here, folks. Of course it costs something. It comes out of capital. Capital is there as a result of home sales and transfer fees and all of this. But it's still an expenditure of your money. So when somebody says to me, it doesn't cost anything, it couldn't be true. They asked me, will it continually have to be subsidized? I said, I don't know. My crystal ball's not that good. I said, remember this, it's that we have made a commitment in the first year up to $64,000 of operation. That would be in 2022 if it passes and it's operational. I can't tell you what it will be after that, whether it will be nothing or whether there'll be something to it. Nobody knows. But the point is, you need to be really take a look at this and understand of all the benefits that are there to have this kind of amenity in Pelican Marsh. And if you sit there and tell me, well, if I don't vote, it's a no vote, I got news for you. It takes 575 people to send in proxies to have this special election. If we got 600 proxies and 301 of them voted yes and 299 said no, it wins. So don't tell me that if you don't vote, it won't make any difference. It does make a difference. So you need to vote, you need to get them in. This community needs to understand the investment that you're going to make in an amenity. So I encourage you that have voted. We thank you for those votes already. For those who haven't, encourage your friends and neighbors to read the proxy, to understand what it is and understand what it can be for Pelican Marsh, and to vote accordingly. So if any of you have any questions tonight, Bob is here. He'd be happy to answer those questions again about where we are and where this stands. Remember, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll meet in this room and there will be announcements. Do we have food and beverage service at Pelican Marsh, or are we back to the drawing board? So, got 2 weeks, get everybody involved. Bob, would you like to say anything?
I just want to thank the board very much for giving me the opportunity to move it forward. And I want to thank the people on the board, Matt and Ken and everybody here for taking their time, and everybody here to the community. We wanted to bring something for the community so that everybody can get together. We work hard together to make sure that the costs are in line, and I hope everybody enjoys it. I think it's a big asset for Pelican Marsh, and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me either now or later. Okay? Thank you.
Jim, may I say something? A lot of people do not realize, we all realize how hard it is to make ourselves go do something we don't have to do. But Bob and Mark, hour after hour after hour, kept working on this, going to meetings, meeting with experts, and it was like a part-time job, just working. All the time I'd see them over here having meetings and walking around with the experts or with bidders, with the contractors. It's amazing how much work they had to do, all for free, to help our community, just because their heart was in the right place. Bob and Mark, more than anybody, a lot of people worked on it, but it was Bob and Mark all the time working. And I want to recognize that because they were very giving and generous with their time and efforts and expertise and made it happen. So thank you very much to Mark and Bob. Bob is here tonight.
Yes, sir. Please just stand and identify yourself, please.
Paul Markarian from the Citadel. I have a question. I haven't been following this very closely, but I'm just trying to understand the project, and I'm wondering how much of this room will be lost to the kitchen area?
None of it.
None of it.
None.
And to the courtyard, it's a very symmetrical arrangement now, but how far into the courtyard will it extend, and will it?
There's a set of palm trees. There's actually 2 sets of palm trees, so if you wanted to walk out there and try and give you a better depth. At the very first set of palm trees, that's the distance that it go out. So it's about a third of the way. So there you go. It's up there in the picture. So if you look at the picture on the right-hand side, you'll see the palm trees there. So it goes out to that, right to there, and it cuts at an angle. So it's about a third of that pavilion area.
That is the pavilion area. We will have some additional outdoor seating a little bit beyond that into the courtyard area.
Now, can anyone sit in the pavilion and perhaps not eat to get into the shade, or doesn't at all?
In regards to, I guess the way if you look at it is, I don't see any issue with it, but we're not going to have people playing cards or something like that.
Gotcha.
Because it would just take away from the food service and what we're trying to accomplish.
And since the building doesn't encroach in this room, where is the food preparation done, in that little kitchen area?
It's going to be done in that kitchen. We're remodeling that kitchen, and it's going to go out from there.
So that kitchen area will actually be expanded outwards?
No, it's still going to take place in that. We're just remodeling it. That was in the plan before, but we're just accelerating that. And then we're adding new equipment that will facilitate for the food service outside.
So the prep is done outside? And
the prep is going to be done, to answer that. It's going to be a finishing kitchen. So the food purveyor that we are going to be working with, if this does pass, would be getting all their food deliveries and everything else at their facility. They would then get everything prepped. And when I say prep, I'm talking about getting things in trays to send over here. So it would be uncooked steaks and just vegetables that are not in boxes but in pans, so they can put into the into refrigeration. And then everything is cooked to order from here. So we can do everything in a very consolidated area. But all food trucks and everything else in terms of deliveries for Sexton or whatever it might be is at a different location.
And have we chosen the food vendor?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're gonna do that, we can't do that until after we know what we're doing.
Bob and Mark have done a phenomenal job of reaching out to the community, looking at quality vendors, and they have narrowed it down dramatically, but we want to wait until we get a positive vote.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Again, thank you and your team for a terrific job and all the work that you put in to bring to the point where the community can vote, determine on what they want to do. At this point, it is my pleasure, and I'm going to have Paul do this because we got to, you certified the proxies, and we had 3 candidates running for 3 positions on the board. And at this time, Paul, will you announce the new board members that will be joining the Pelican Marsh Foundation Board?
Yes, we would like to welcome new board members, Steve Burke, Margie Cassia, and Pat Kepke to the board. Welcome.
Okay, why don't you stand up? Wave, all stand up and wave, let's go, here we go. Congratulations. Congratulations. At this point, do we have any resident comments? Do we have any board comments?
Paul, do you have any on Zoom?
Yeah.
Maybe we're lucky Comcast is out.
Those are all coming in tomorrow. If there are no more board comments or no more resident comments, I thank you all for attending this evening, and I will call for a motion for adjournment.
I so move.
Second.
And I have a motion to, a first and a second, and all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Vote by the same time. Thank you very much. Have a great evening and a great rest of the year.